it's Donna here, and thank you for stopping by for this new card that I am making. I am going to be making a card today using products from the Brutus Monroe Storybook Forest release. And I'm going to start with this stencil. This stencil is called Storybook Forest. I think it's really, really cool. It's kind of hard to see. I should put it on here. Let me put it on the back of this so you can see. Got the little fairy here, the little animals. I love the little squirrel going up the tree. So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to do some ink blending. I have a piece of 6x6 cardstock here. What I have done is I have laid my stencil down and I've just drawn a pencil mark around each of the corners. That way I know where I want to put my stencil when I return. Then what I did is I went and traced in these areas kind of where the mushrooms are, where the fairy is, where the leaves are, this little piece of grass. And the reason I did that, my thought here is I'm going to put some ink down here. I want to make my fairy kind of a pinkish color, a little redder with the mushroom tops, some green on the grass and these leaves, and then browns and grays with the rest of it. And then I'm going to come back and put the stencil down and then cover the open spaces, so where I see my pencil marks. So my pencil marks are going to get covered with this Night Sky Velveteen Glaze. Velveteen Glaze is a matte finish media, so we'll be putting that down on top. But let's start with the ink blending. So I'm going to start, I think, with the pink. I'm going to use some Simon Hurley Prom Queen. Prom Queen is a beautiful pink color, and I've got the Brutus Monroe mini blending brushes, and I'm just going to throw in some pink here. I wanted to use this mini brush here mostly because it's such a little area that I'm working with. I can't go outside the lines on this because there's nothing around this fairy. As you can see here, I'll bring this over again. Put this here beside this and make sure you can kind of see what's around where. So I don't want to go too far over. I don't want to hit the tree, but overall, I think I can just kind of stay in this little pencil drawn area. Come down and do a little bit on her foot. I don't want to do too much because that is getting a little close to some of the mushroom. So I'm just going to ink blend in a little bit of pink. That's the only pink that I want to do on this, so I'll put that aside. I have a little bigger blending brush here. I'm going to use some Simon Hurley Bee Sting for the mushroom tops. So I'm going to kind of blend in these mushroom tops. And, you know, if my colors are a little bit off, it's okay. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to try to get the right colors in each of the areas. And I did get a little off there because my stems will be coming down, but I'll see what I can do with that. So there's my mushroom tops, and I may come back and put either some white circles in this later, or, you know, this Simon Hurley ink is water reactive. I could put some drops on it and let the water soak up the ink, and that would be kind of a fun look as well. So there's some bee sting, and I think that's all the red, so I'm going to set this color aside. Figure out where I put my other colors. Let's go with green next. I have some fake plant. And for this one, I have a little blending brush again. And I had this little grassy area I wanted to use with fake plant. Okay, that's some good coloring. And then I have a few little leaf areas that I just want to try to get a little bit of green in these areas. I don't want too much because there are also trees, so I'm going to have to blend some brown around some of this. Again, it really doesn't have to be exactly those colors. I just was trying to make it a little more colorful on my base layer than just browns and yellows and grays. I thought it'd be a little nicer to have little pops of color in here where it makes sense. All right, now we're going to move into some of the base colors, as I would call it. This is the browns, the yellows, and the grays. I have the trees, you have these stems, you have this little snail, you have this bunny, this little squirrel, which is really cute. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of yellow to kind of give myself some background. I have Shooting Star for this from Simon Hurley, and I'm just going to do a little bit of yellow up through the tree areas on both sides. And I'll come back and be covering this with some brown too, but this will be a good background color for that brown. It'll give it a little more warmth, especially since we are doing kind of a really dark black tone over this. I wanted to have a little bit of warmth of the yellow underneath. Now let's see, let's do a little bit of gray in some areas. Let's put some in kind of around where the bunny might be, which I think is going to be right here. And I don't want too much of that. I want to come back and add a little brown to that. I think that might be the only place. I don't want too much because it's going to blend with that black. Now we're going to do a lot with this brown. The brown is going to be the most of it. Whoops, sorry, the black or the gray was called Shady. And this color is called Grr from Simon Hurley. Let's just fill in my bunny a little more with some of this brown. And then let's just start blending in brown. I should have got my bigger brush, but that's okay. We can work through this. Doesn't really have to be blended on the tree areas as well, because as you know, trees kind of have, they're not a smooth finish anyway. So, you know, having some different shadings and everything throughout the brown is actually a good thing for a tree look. As you can see, my brown's going to overtake my yellow, but you're still going to see a little bit of that yellow in the background. Quite a few branches over here in the tree area. I need to get all around that green because that green, there's branches around that. You don't want it to be white. You don't want the tree to be white. I'm not looking for a white tree here. And I just have a piece of white typing paper. I don't really need to have that behind here. I just do that. I'm not using a blending buddy or anything like that just because I'm not blending off before going to my paper. I'm going direct to the paper from the pad. It just saves in cleanup when I put a piece of typing paper kind of underneath. I use it to kind of test markers. You can see I have little marker marks over here when I was testing different color markers for different coloring and things like that. So I usually keep a piece of typing paper close just for easy cleanup. It's easy to clean up a glass mat, which is what I work on. So it's not a necessity to have that typing paper there. It's just something I've gotten into the habit of and tend to do. Sometimes I'll use it to clean off my brush though too, when I'm getting ready to switch colors. Like if I have a brush, I have a brush usually for a family of colors. So if I'm switching from a darker to a lighter or something like that, I'll want to clean off my brush, and I can just quickly take the brush to the paper and get rid of excess ink that is in the brush. So having that right there close is good. Now I'm going up this side to get the trees on this side. Looks like a hot mess right now. Gonna be interesting to see how this all turns out. I've not tried this before. This card, this is just something that kind of hit me as I was looking at the new release and kind of figuring out what I would like to try. And I thought, let me just try to mix a few different things up here. And this was one I wanted to do, was try the velveteen glazes and see how that worked out with this. I think it's going to be really pretty. I'm going to finish off my bottom down here. Smooth out a little bit of the bottom areas. And then we'll see where we're at, and we'll decide what else we need to add. Let's see. All right, let's see what we need to add from here. This is looking really good, I think. So if I put this on where I had originally planned, we can see I'm pretty close on my leaves. I think those are going to look good. I think most of my trees are looking good. Got a little bit of stem here that's going to be red. I might add a little brown in there. My bunny looks pretty good. My grass, my snail, I might darken that a little bit and maybe darken this squirrel a little bit. So let's start with the squirrel over here, right in that area. Let's just darken that up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to take my gray, add a little bit of gray in there. That was just on my brush. I didn't add any ink to it. Okay, so that was the squirrel. I think that's going to really help that. Yeah, that'll look good. Okay, I wanted to do a little bit with the snail. Darken the snail's area up a little bit too. And continually rotate in that area, because you know I always think of the round areas of the snail. So and I can always add a little bit of white or something, or some kind of gel pen on that later to clean that up. And then maybe just a little bit of brown down through here. And I'm just gonna kind of take my brush and kind of just swipe down through here a little bit. Give a little brown to that stem. See if I got it in the right spot. Mostly in the right spot. We'll just continue to add a little more color, build up the color there. And that looks pretty good, I think. See if there's anywhere else that I think I'm fairly happy with the way the trees are looking. Maybe take just a quick run through one more time through some of this tree areas. That way I make sure that's all colored in good. All right, I think we're gonna go with this. We're gonna give this a try, see how it turns out. So my next step is I'm going to just quickly give a little more color in a few areas. I'm going to set my brushes aside, cover up my ink pad, and I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to take some pixie spray. I have some pixie spray here, and I am just going to spray this quickly off camera. So give me 1 second. This will allow all those little pieces on the stencil to stick so we don't get stuff underneath. Let me make sure I got enough spray on it, and I'm going to let it dry just a second here. And then we're going to set this down. Okay, once I got, I don't think I got quite as much on there, but now you can see the stencil is stuck, which is what you want, because you don't want this this glaze going underneath your areas. You want them to be crisp and clean. So, all right, let me grab my tools, set this aside. And I am going to cover this in velveteen glaze. This is going to be fun. This color looks like it's got some blue tints to it. Like I said, it will dry in a matte finish. So you're going to lose all that shininess once it dries, which is okay. That's kind of what I want. I want my sky to be kind of a matte look. Now I'm putting on quite a bit because there's a lot of open area here. So I'm trying to make sure that I've got quite a bit of it on here. I can always put it back in the jar what we don't use. Okay, so there, I'm going to just stick that there. I've got my scraper. And my scraper, I'm going to have to go down a couple of times just because it's not going to be quite as big as the surface area, but that'll be okay. So we'll just come back over and come back through there. I see I missed a couple of places. That's okay, we'll get them on our second pass. Now I'm going to come back one more time through. Oops. Got a little high up there, kind of buckled up on me. Okay. I don't want my middle to be white. All right, there we go. Sorry, I hit the camera. Didn't mean to shake the camera. All right, I am just going to scrape off the excess here and put it back in the jar, and then I am going to turn the camera off for a short minute. I'm going to remove my stencil and I'm going to clean up my tools, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I let this dry for a couple hours. I had some other things I was doing, and as you can see, it gets a lot of shine. It looks very pretty. Since I've been gone, I did do a few more things, and I'm going to just go over kind of what I've done. I did trim the card down, just cutting off all the edges. I did go in with a few alcohol markers. I have Copics, but you can use any alcohol markers. I took this RV14 and went around the little fairy here in different places. I took the R27 and R29 and colored in the mushrooms, and then I came in with a white gel pen and I added the dots on the mushrooms. I took an E49 and added eyes to the animals because I thought they needed little eyes. I took an E27 and just outlined the squirrel. I thought he needed a little bit of outlining. I also took the You Are Magical sentiment from the Magical Dragons. I die cut it and then I colored it with the RV14 that I'd used before. And then after that, I came back and used the Crystal Clear Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and it gives it all this wonderful, wonderful sparkle. Hopefully you can see that. My plan is to put that about right there. I tried some of the other sparkle pens that had pigment or ink color with them, but some of them were too dark. It covered up the sentiment and things like that. So I decided just to color it in with my Copic and then cover it after that. So next I have a 6x6 card base, And on top of that, I have added a 6x6 piece of mirror card. It's called Water Sprite from the Craft Perfect paper pack from Tonic Studios. I ordered it through Brutus Monroe. They have different colors. They have different tints. This one has a little bit of a green tint, and I thought that would be perfect to bring out some of the green, since we didn't bring out so much of the green. I think the pink stands on its own and the red. So I thought maybe the green might be a good color to bring out with the mirror card. And this will just add a little more sparkle and shine. Let's see if I can get this lined up fairly decent. Close enough, huh? So I put that down. I already had my adhesive on the back, just so I could shorten up the end of this video. And I have my foam tape on the back of my sentiment that I want to add. And I want to put it right about there. I think that looks good. So there you go. There is my finished card. Wonderful mirror card in the background, the shine on the castle, and then the little bit of glitter on the You Are Magical. I think it turned out pretty cool. Again, used velveteen and chroma glaze for the backgrounds with the stencils. So if you would like more ideas and cards, I am Donna T Crafting on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day. Hello, I'm back now. As you can see, I removed the stencil. I had to get the stencil and all the tools washed up pretty quickly. I let this dry. I actually let it dry overnight due to the fact it was on pretty thick and I had some other things come up. So it just worked out to let it dry overnight. You can see our colors came through really well, and this kind of dried as a really dark blue, which I think is just gorgeous. So now the next thing that I want to do with this project is I want to take the stencil of the month, which is called Adventure Awaits. It's this gorgeous book and mountains and castle and stars. And I am thinking I want this to show up here. I think I'm gonna mask off the book, and I'm not sure about the stars. I may mask off those stars as well, because I think they're gonna get into the trees. But I want to add this on here. And one of the things I was thinking about as I was waiting on this to dry last night is what color I was gonna do this in, do the castle and the mountains in. So while I was waiting, I got out some of my swatch charts, and I just thought I would share this. My pile of Brutus Monroe swatch charts. I have my chroma glazes that I currently have in my possession, my candy coats. I have my embossing powders, which there was, this gilded sparkle I thought was gorgeous. This pearly rainbow, the rainbow sparkle would be pretty. An older one is this blowout that I think would be pretty. So there's lots of options. I want something a little shinier or sparkly, since we have this matte finish from this velveteen glaze. So while I was waiting, I made another panel of velveteen glaze, and I just cut it apart. I'm gonna move this aside so you can see what I have here. I took 4 options here. I took this pearly rainbow embossing powder, which I think is beautiful, and I took some embossing ink on the stencil and embossed this. I like that. I'm just not sure. I have to see if you can see it in the light there. It's very sparkly, but I don't know if it's going to show up enough. I did the chroma glaze in the gold, which I think is another gorgeous one. Isn't that beautiful? How the light catches that. And I love this on here. I can also kind of lay this down now. Since I didn't have color under this dried a little bit different in color, but it gives you an idea. My only thought with the gold is there's so much brown with that yellow under it. The gold is just, it may be too much. I tried the candy coat in pearl. This one I think is pretty as well. gets the light pretty well. Has a little more sparkle in it, so I think that is gorgeous. And my other option was a chroma glaze in opal, and I just got this one, so I haven't really tried this one, and I really like the way this looks. I think it kind of blends in, but it has enough shine to it. It's not the sparkly, so I think I'm going to go with the opal chroma glaze on this one. So we're going to set the rest of these aside, and I'm going to keep these swatches because it's kind of nice to see what they look like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to mask off the areas I don't want to have showing through. Now this will just take me just a couple of minutes to kind of cover up all these stars, and I don't, like I said, I don't think I want to do the stars just because some of them would hit the trees, some of them wouldn't hit the trees. I just don't think I need the stars on there. So I'm using a little bit of mint tape, which is a low tack tape that I use for my die cutting. You can see I got a little bit of embossing ink still on there, and that's having a hard time staying on. All right, and there's two little pieces I need to cover up right here and right here. The big piece I added at the beginning is also mint tape. It's just a 4-inch mint tape, something I had in my stash, and you can see I've ink blended on it recently, but I can still use it for this. Now I want to see where I want to put this on my panel. I think I want it to go right. I want her to be looking at it. So, and I want to make sure I'm not running into my tree branches. So it looks like if I go right here and get it straight, I might just need to mask off a couple more little pieces. I'm going to mask off a little bit here. So we'll just kind of add that in, and then I want to tape this down. Well, I said I wanted to tape it down. Fortunately, my mint tape is a little rough. My dog got a hold of it one day, but I wasn't going to throw it away because, you know, I could still use it. All right, so this is what I want to cover in the candy coat. Or not the candy coat, I'm using the chroma glaze opal. So I'm going to get out my tools. My tools are from Simon Hurley. And I'm going to add this onto my project. And this will be another thing that we'll have to wait for it to dry, which that's okay. This is just a little bit of a process on this project. It's not a one and done, one session and done. So as you can see, I'm just scraping this down. I think that looks like good coverage. I'm going to clean this off. If you're doing a lot of this type of work where you're using tools and glazes and different types of paste, it's always good to have a little tub or bucket of water that you can stick your stencils and your tools and everything in to soak, and then you can wash them up later. I've done that many times. Since I was only doing one project, I am just using this. I'm going to actually just lay it on my coffee filter and I'll throw that away. I'll show you taking this off because I need to take the stencil off anyway, and then we'll take a break, let this dry. It may be overnight again, although once I put the video together, you won't know that it's overnight. And I missed a star. Somehow I got a star on there. Isn't that interesting? Oh well, we'll have a star. I'm going to clean up a couple of little places on here. I will do that, and then I'm going to let this move this aside to dry, and I'll come back once it's dry. Okay, I let this dry for a couple hours. I had some other things I was doing, and as you can see, it gets a lot of shine. It looks very pretty. Since I've been gone, I did do a few more things, and I'm going to just go over kind of what I've done. I did trim the card down, just cutting off all the edges. I did go in with a few alcohol markers. I have Copics, but you can use any alcohol markers. I took this RV14 and went around the little ferry here in different places. I took the R27 and R29 and colored in the mushrooms, and then I came in with a white gel pen and I added the dots on the mushrooms. I took an E49 and added eyes to the animals because I thought they needed little eyes. I took an E27 and just outlined the squirrel. I thought he needed a little bit of outlining. I also took the You Are Magical sentiment from the Magical Dragons. I die cut it and then I colored it with the RV14 that I'd used before. And then after that, I came back and used the Crystal Clear Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and it gives it all this wonderful, wonderful sparkle. Hopefully you can see that. My plan is to put that about right there. I tried some of the other sparkle pens that had pigment or ink color with them, but some of them were too dark. It covered up the sentiment and things like that. So I decided just to color it in with my Copic and then cover it after that. So next I have a 6x6 card base, and on top of that I have added a 6x6 piece of mirror card. It's called Water Sprite from the Craft Perfect paper pack from Tonic Studios. I ordered it through Brutus Monroe. They have different colors, they have different tints. This one has a little bit of a green tint, and I thought that would be perfect to bring out some of the green, since we didn't bring out so much of the green. I think the pink stands on its own and the red, so I thought maybe the green might be a good color to bring out with the mirror card. And this will just add a little more sparkle and shine. Let's see if I can get this lined up fairly decent. Close enough, huh? So I put that down. I already had my adhesive on the back, just so I could shorten up the end of this video. And I have my foam tape on the back of my sentiment that I want to add. And I want to put it right about there. I think that looks good. So there you go. There is my finished card. Wonderful mirror card in the background, the shine on the castle, and then the little bit of glitter on the You Are Magical. I think it turned out pretty cool. Again, used velveteen and chroma glaze for the backgrounds with the stencils. So if you would like more ideas and cards, I am Donna T Crafting on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day.